Every
Mm.
story of survival through hard times in anyone's history, but especially in American history, has really been about community. If you and your neighbor, you've got carrots, your neighbor's got potatoes, this neighbor's got rice, whatever, whatever. Somebody's got chickens. It's the stone soup analogy, right? If you're all putting things in the pot, at the end of the day, everyone eats.
Hey, BA fam, it's your girl, Mandi Money. Welcome to this episode of the Brown Ambition podcast. I just want to say thank you again for listening to the show and supporting it. All your reviews, I have been reading the sweetest reviews y'all have been leaving, and I'm going to get into them really quick because if you take the 30 seconds that it takes to leave a review, I just want to show you how impactful it can be. Not only is it like giving a pep talk to the friend in your head, which I hope you think of me as, it also helps the show keep growing. It helps our network keep investing in the show. You're basically telling anyone who has any hand in creating Brown Ambition that you want more of us. So I just really appreciate y'all. From listener A. Jackson says, I've been listening to Brown Ambition since 2020, and it's helped me grow so much. Every episode has something new for me to learn. Mandi does such a great job of utilizing personal experiences to make career and finance topics feel real and applicable. And I love her guests at the BA Brown Table too. I can't wait to see how the show continues to evolve. That is so damn kind. Thank you. All right. Also from listener Year One says, still love the show. I'm a new/old listener. What about I'm a first time listener and I'm a fan. I'm looking forward to going backwards and listening to some of your previous recordings. Ooh, go get in that time machine, okay? There's some really good ones in the archive. You know, if I was going to tell anyone to start with an episode, I would say start with any show that airs like January of each year, because that's usually when we do a lot of talking about who we are, what we're going to value the year ahead. There's usually some like really good, rich conversations happening. But you know, you go at your own pace too. All right, listener says, living life to fullest. Okay, Mandi, you're doing this solo thing on BA and you're doing it well. Doing it and doing it and doing it well. Doing it and doing it and doing it well. Let me not have to pay royalties. Okay, never mind. I'll stop singing. I'm so glad you chose the question about us working multiple jobs to make ends meet. You were spot on with all the points. You educated and inspired. P.S. I love the Brown Table too. Good mix. Thank you. Listen, y'all, Brown Table every Wednesday. Well, not every Wednesday. Brown Table is when I have a couple of friends of mine, a couple of BA friends join, and we talk about whatever is happening in the world. And then we also will hit on all of our favorite personal finance topics as well. So I'm so glad to hear y'all been loving the Brown Table. All right. If you want to leave a review, all you got to do is scroll down on whatever app you're listening to this on, whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and just click ratings. You pick how many stars, you write a couple words, bada bing, bada boom. It is so helpful. Thank y'all. Okay, but let's get into today's episode. I have been chasing this guest for some time now. If you don't know her name, you might know the name of her book. Her New York Times bestseller is called Hood Feminism: Notes from the Women That a Movement Forgot. It was published originally in 2020, not just anytime in 2020, February 25th, 2020. So imagine where you were at that time. I know this was my first day back at work. I thought I was going to be, skipping off as a new mom back to work after maternity leave. And then I got skipped right on back home because the pandemic took hold, everything shut down. And then we had the craziest next couple of years, and maybe not the craziest, but a couple of very insane years, very intense years. And it was also at a time when we needed a message like Hood Feminism. I mean, in this book, we are talking about how white feminists, traditional mainstream feminism, has really forgotten about us, has really forgotten about the communities that are being left behind in so many ways. They want us to put on pussy hats and go protest against Trump in the streets, like we saw in these women's marches in 2020 and prior to that, but we weren't really seeing them show up for us on topics like basic survival needs, like food security, housing, financial literacy, economic justice. So why did I want to have Mikki on the show 5 years later? Because I've been reflecting a lot on what's changed in my life in the past 5 years. And I just thought she brought up this idea. She really gave me words to articulate for the first time some of the challenges I'm having trying to exist in this world, especially in a multicultural, multiracial family where I'm not feeling like I'm being heard very well. And also, I don't have the ability to just cut off a certain side of my family because they have a different upbringing to mine. So I'm excited to have Mikki on the show today. We're going to get into everything. We're going to get into where she actually was, and it's really funny, where she was the day she found out Hood Feminism became a New York Times bestseller. We're going to talk about her dreams of getting her doctorate, or as she calls it, a midlife crisis, but I don't really believe in those. I think we all get different chapters in our life. So she's talking about a new chapter, and we talk about the new book she's working on, which is called The Autopsy of the American Dream. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Will this be the uplifting episode that I usually try to give you guys? We get there. That's all I'm going to say. Hang on, okay? We're going to talk about some uncomfortable truths, but I promise you the conversation that we have about the power of community and even the ideas that I left that conversation with, I hope that it inspires you, BA fan, because like I tell Mikki in this conversation, I do think that Black women, like we are women of color in general, from indigenous communities, Hispanic communities, Latin communities, like we are uniquely positioned to survive in whatever is coming at us in this crazy economy and whatever may come in the decades to come. We are uniquely positioned to thrive because we are so good at connecting, about supporting each other, communicating, working from a place of what's good for everybody is good for everybody. You know, hang on, okay, buckle up. But this is a really important conversation. I want to thank Mikki again for joining me on the show. And without further ado, here is my conversation with Mikki Kendall, the author of Hood Feminism. Welcome to my guest, Mikki Kendall, the author of Hood Feminism, a New York Times bestseller that kind of became, I'm in the middle of writing a book myself right now, Mikki, and you can't plan the timing of a book, right? Because it's such a long process. But if there was an award for the best timed publication of a book about hood feminism and white allyship and what's actually happening in these communities and the inequities that are happening, I mean, 2020, winter of 2020, was that it? Right before the pandemic took hold?
The book comes out February 25th.
Yeah.
I did the Daily Show the day before everything shut down. Like if timing were magical, it was the most magical timing, even though it didn't feel like it in the moment. Because now I have to confess that I thought this book had flopped for like 3 months.
3?
Oh yeah, because pre-orders were okay. March happened. The sales in March are actually atrocious. My publisher has a portal where you can see your sales weekly. Don't look in the portal. I am an idiot who looks in my portal. Don't be me, right? And so in March and April, I had sort of not recognized that, yes, these are week to week, but these are from a couple of weeks ago, week to week, right?
Oh, that's good context to know.
Yes.
Looking at analytics. Yeah.
Right. So I was sort of freaking out about how poorly it had done. And then in May, I want to say, like, everything starts to take off. And in my most Midwestern broad personality ever, I found out the book made the bestseller list in the drive-thru of a Culver's.
I read that. I mean, I'm going to laugh like I just found that out, but I didn't, because I read it in an article, in an interview, or not an interview. You just wrote a piece for Chicago Magazine. And you also said you were laughing. You were crying so hard. Y'all pulled around to the drive-thru, and the drive-thru, what did the drive-thru girl say?
They were like, what is wrong? She kind of looked happening? At you. Right. Because she was like,
yeah.
My husband's a big guy, and like his nickname and my nickname for him is Husbies, because he makes growly noises and he's a giant. But he always looks mean in the face to other people. So I think what she perceived is a weeping woman and this like stern-faced, burly man. Are we about to have to go upside this guy's head in the drive-thru? And then I had to be like, no, these are happy tears. I just made the New York Times bestseller list. And they were as excited as me. These like random people who had never seen me before.
That's so magical.
It was.
As a first-time author, that's really nice to hear that it can happen even after the first couple of months. Your book really spoke to me because it just gave me a lot of the language that I can now use with my mom when we talk about these issues, and made me feel, I don't know, I didn't grow up so much in an echo chamber of Black love and Black female love, and I created that echo chamber for myself once I got out of where I grew up, and it really validated a lot of the feelings that I was having. And so I just want to say thank you. I don't think a lot of readers get to thank authors that often, but it meant a lot to me and so many others. So thank you for that.
Thank you. It's always good to hear that. So fun fact, my ex-husband is white, right? The guy that I'm talking about having a bad relationship with the book is a white guy from Texas. I made a series of decisions in my early 20s. We're just gonna talk.
You get into it in the book. You can read the book.
Yes,
it's there.
But so me and my daughter have had some interesting conversations, because she definitely had the Black mom, Black community experience, but she does not, they don't have a terrible relationship at this point. They don't really have much of a relationship either. And so because dad is my husband, that is the person who made me, like, kind of framework, but
Yeah.
they're having some difficult conversations as much as they have conversations around identity and gender and some other stuff. And she was like, hey, so you should read mom's book and then we can come back to this. And I was like, I don't know how that at all went
Did he
over.
do it?
I have no idea. I have
Yeah.
because I try, my kid is an adult, so both of my children are adults, and I try to stay out of that relationship, right? I just passively accept whatever I hear about it because I'm trying not to poison the well. However, my feelings are my feelings. But I think maybe that may end up happening, probably in small chunks as his feelings ebb and flow and whatever. I don't know how I would feel about a book in which basically my ex was like, yeah, so like the best thing I did was leave you. The greatest thing in the world was to leave you.
Well, I mean, he was there. He was extremely abusive.
Yes, but I don't know that
You almost died.
I don't know that he frames it that way. Ironically, I
Okay.
don't think that he does.
The personal spin that we can put on reality in our own worlds.
So I think this is the complicated thing because we can believe in redemption and restoration and forgiveness, or we can hold people to the worst thing they ever did forever, right? And I'm not saying you personally have to forgive. Please understand that is not saying you have to endorse, support, give people your money. I am saying everybody has the opportunity, presumably, to make amends for the things that they have done. Now, you don't have to believe them, right? Because I would be the highest of hypocrites to sit here and tell you that I want anything to do with my ex personally. But I think often in community, as we talk about transformative justice and doing away with the carceral system, we have to understand that there are things that people are going to have different feelings on. I know there are people who do work with offenders and work on bringing these people back into society and correcting these behaviors. And I can also say honestly with my ex, even though I have no interest in an actual relationship with this person now, I understand that part of what happened with him is that his family built a monster and I opened the door on that monster, but I don't believe that monster is all that was in there. You don't fall in love with an abusive person because of the worst things about them. You tend to fall in love with some of the best things and then you find out the rest, right? Because we all meet someone's representative. We don't necessarily meet just them. And their representative often is somebody who's maybe great and you try to see the best in them and then you kind of get sucked into this cycle, right? Honeymoon to horror, honeymoon to horror. And then either you escape and survive or you don't. People do terrible things. People experience terrible things. And if I can say to you that the worst thing that happened to me is not a defining part of who I am, I'm not sure we can say the worst thing you've ever done is always a defining part. This is not, however, letting off serial killers, serial offenders. Some people I know we just can't redeem. We cannot correct. You cannot simply walk away from that relationship when you share offspring.
Not if you want to give your child a good shot at having some semblance of like a healthy or honest relationship with their parent and not causing, I mean, on so many levels, I am feeling what you're saying. I mean, I'm a child of divorce, mixed race parents. I have 2 white siblings and 1 full sibling, technically. And I just wonder in moments like this, what are people holding on to that they haven't forgiven themselves for, or what they haven't like given themselves a little bit of grace and space for? Or have you never had a loved one that you've loved and they do horrible things? Like, I can fully say in my life, I have had to love people who've done really horrible things. And I have freed myself with this idea of like, these things can both be true. You can do a horrible thing that, like you were just saying, it doesn't have to be the thing that defines you. But the key for me is like is there accountability? Is there taking responsibility? I believe that for me, there's always a door open now that I'm older and I've been through so much. And I've learned that people are not perfect. And there is this cancel culture that just wants everybody to be perfect. And when you show the slightest bit of humanity, which we all have, the darkness inside, then you're seen as unfit and it's like, get out of here. We don't want you. But leaving that door open so that they can do some work, because we should celebrate that work if it's happening, right?
Right. And that's the question that's sort of unanswered there. And I'll say, as someone who gets occasionally a lot of pushback about the fact that I talk about the fact that my ex turned out to be somewhat racist after the fact, a thing I did not know going into the relationship. By the time we're wrapping up the relationship and I'm seeing signs of this, and I openly say like, oh, I made mistakes, and people will say, well, you should have known. Beloved, I was 21. The things we do not know at 21 is longer than the list of things we do know at 21, right? I got divorced at
Racist
25.
racist people changed my diaper. Like
Yeah, right.
racist people kissed me on the head and put me to bed. Racist people raised me, in a lot of
Right.
ways. They're among us. I don't know what to
Right.
say. That's crazy.
And like I always feel like if I can see my own growth, right, across time on a lot of topics, I should give other people the country to show me growth. But it doesn't mean I necessarily want to befriend them or associate them in my
Yeah.
personal life, whatever. But I also recognize other people may feel differently because I feel like right now, what cancel
Mm.
culture should have been and what people have used it as are so different, right? Because I was there in the days of yore when it was about like, hey, this person is a serial abuser. Maybe we should warn each other that this person is dangerous and ongoing danger. And now it's like, well, this person should never be employed again. I don't think we get to hand out death sentences
Yeah.
for everything. And I know that you can be like, well, I just meant I don't want them to be employed in public again. But I've watched people attack the guy from Cosby Show for having a job at Trader Joe's so he can afford health insurance,
Oh,
right?
I
So like
forgot
I
about
don't
that guy. Yeah.
Right. So I don't feel like people understand what they're saying when they say someone should be canceled anymore. For me, canceled means I'm not giving you my money. And if you're an ongoing threat, I may tell people I feel you're an ongoing threat. I may warn people working with you could be dangerous to them. But if you don't seem to be a danger to people, I'm going to mind my business. I'm going to be over here not supporting you. If someone asks me why I don't support you, I'm definitely going to tell them. I'm never going to keep secret why I don't support you.
Okay, BA fam, we're going to take a break right now, but more from my conversation with Mikki Kendall when I come back. All right, BA fam, let's get back into my conversation with Mikki Kendall. She's the author of Hood Feminism, Notes from the Women That a Movement Forgot. And she's here on Brown Ambition talking about Hood Feminism 5 years later. And we are just about to get back into our conversation about what she calls a civil war that is coming. Now, this is the part where I said it's going to be a little bit hard to listen to, but hang in there because we're going to get there. Okay, we're going to get to a place where we can look beyond the worst case situation and talk about ways that we can thrive and survive in spite of that. Okay, here's the conversation. All right, so let's get back to the show. One of the reasons I was excited to talk to you as well is it's been 5 years since the pandemic, 5 years since your book came out. And your book, I mean, also, by the way, I remember I listened to the audiobook recently to like refresh my memory, and it's you reading it, and you're like, you had this whole spiel about how you're not a nice person. And I was like, oh no, is she going to be mean to me? Like, what's it going to be? I got stressed, but I mean, at least, I don't know what is nice, but I just feel like it's funny
I,
because I love talking to you.
I mean, one of my friends says that it takes me 3 to 5 business years to warm up to some people.
Ah,
Uh,
gotcha.
and then sometimes at the end of 3 to 5 business years, I'm like, no, they've had all this time and I still don't like them. Please don't bring them to me again.
Well, I'm on day one, so I got time. What you're saying is I got
Yeah.
time. I got a
Yeah. It's
chance.
like
I got a chance.
so far we're fine. We're
So far, so
fine. It
good.
seems so fun.
Oh,
Honestly, the
thanks.
reason I say that is because sometimes people will come to you, especially as a black woman, they will come to you with some real nasty energy, and then they expect you
Mm,
to be kind and patient and accepting in return, no matter how they
mm,
treat you. And I am a Gen Xer. I am from the
mm.
old days of zero tolerance, and our zero tolerance was zero tolerance for other people's BS. That was our zero
Ah.
tolerance, right? I'm not putting up with your crap. I don't need you people that bad.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that. Like post election, I do feel like there was this collective feeling among black women of like, yeah, don't come to us with your grief. Don't come to us for answers to questions anymore. And we're done. We're done trying to convince you of our worth. We're done. We tried this. We're done. Like we're protecting our peace in 2025. But did you want hood feminism to really impact white women, especially the white feminist movement? And if that was the case, do you feel like anything has changed in the last 5 years? Are white women better at embracing all forms of feminism and embracing the issues that affect us all instead of just what pertains to them?
My intent was to reach everyone, but I also wanted us to be honest about the impact white feminism was having, right? It was not enough to
Mm,
keep going, oh, well, that's useless. We kind of have to talk about what's going unaddressed as we focus on these things. I feel like in the 5 years since, some white women have really engaged, right? The voting numbers tell me, unfortunately, that there are lots of white women who will sell their children down the river for a bottle of Coke and 2 bags of peanuts. And I don't know what to tell you about that voting block at this point, because we are in a space politically where some people, we're going to have to leave them behind. But I think for a lot, especially of younger white women, they're looking around and they're kind of going, hey, so listen, this isn't working. I'm going to have to go over there with the black and brown girls because whatever you're doing has led us here. And we all got to go over
Mm.
there, right? The understanding of what it's going to cost to cozy up to white supremacy is definitely changing.
Yeah, and I feel like, I mean, how did you feel after Kamala lost? Were you also just like, what was that
I'm gonna
like for you?
be I'm gonna be 100% honest. I knew people who were saying, we can't vote for her, and they had very good reasons. And I was kind of standing there in my most. I'm from a state that sent 7 governors to jail, so like I don't know why people think politicians are supposed to be friends.
Right.
Going, there's no other option on the table. We don't
Mm.
have a good option. Now we have to go with whatever is the least awful and hope that is enough. We did not do that. There's a saying, those who do not hear will feel. Now you're going to feel. You did not learn, now you feel, right? And I don't want to be here for the feeling. I would prefer to be able to exit the stage left from feeling, but unfortunately, they're going to make me watch this show from the front row.
Unfortunately.
I don't
Yeah.
intend to be on stage though.
What are you working on now? Like, what is the life of a New York Times bestselling author 5 years later? Let's get into the career aspect of it. You're like really, really rich,
Uh,
and everybody knows your name, and you
I
got a
really
Birkin.
I really wish I was really, really rich. Instead, I paid for a bunch of debt. These degrees are not cheap. Also,
Oh,
I,
Lord.
I put one kid through college during the course of this 5 years. So,
Oh, you're
Um,
incredible for that.
uh, mm,
Wow.
mm, I paid for an art degree for a kid that ended up going into tech.
Oh, well, yeah,
Um,
we'll see. There's time. Give it time. It
there's
might pay. It's
time.
a it's a longevity thing. It's like an incremental investments in a situation, long term investment. We'll see what happens and give him 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh-huh. But no, so The Life of a New York Times bestseller is working on my next book. We're not going to talk about how bloody depressing it has been to be right in this book because it's an autopsy of the American dream. Don't ask me why I decided to do that book, but I could kind of see some
I
of
was
this
hoping it
coming.
was going to be like a romance novel. Like,
Oh no, I am also writing romance novels for fun. I've gotten
oh, good.
bizarrely obsessed with those Chinese mini dramas. Um,
What's it
they're
called?
great. Those Chinese mini dramas that are on every streaming app, it feels like all over, like they're showing up as like little commercials on Facebook and on TikTok and whatever.
Chinese mini dramas.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Join
I do
us.
not know about this.
Oh,
Join
join
us.
us in our session.
I'm
So
bookmarking this, BA fam.
yes,
Chinese
they're
mini
all like
dramas. Got it.
they're like vertical mini dramas, and so I started getting kind of sucked into those. And so as my like comfort watch when like I'm stressed out by my book. And so now I'm like, oh, I want to write romance novels. And so I started working on a romance novel as like a side fun thing. And then I have also started to write a bunch of middle grade like scripts. I want to do another nonfiction graphic about Jim Crow. And I want to do a fiction graphic just because fun. Because
Yeah.
basically what I do when I have been researching facts and I hate them is I write something fun. It is like the most because when the trad wife thing started, I needed every
Oh.
coping mechanism on the screen. All of them, everyone, so that I did not end up on the internet raving like a street preacher. I did think about ending up on the internet raving like a street preacher about the trad wife thing, though. I did. I contemplated it for a while. I still might.
Gotta pick your battles, you know. I don't think, unfortunately, that trend is probably not going to go anywhere. But there's time. But
There
this book, tell me,
is.
when's it coming out?
I have no idea because I still
Okay.
don't have a good end for this book. Unfortunately,
Hmm.
everything that I was hoping wasn't going to happen is currently happening. So
Such
the
as?
optimistic finale is still it's still struggling. I watched America vote itself into not just the constitutional crisis everyone is talking about, but into a human rights crisis. And we are the arbiter of so many, right? And fall of empire is a thing, but we are headed in many ways towards the stage for a civil war. I have this unfortunate history degree, and I never should have gotten a history degree. I know too many things. The historians are all in a circle somewhere,
Just
rocking
picturing
at this point.
Brandon Stark from Game of Thrones. Like,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
underneath the, whatever that tree was called.
Yes, that's
Tired
exactly.
and quiet
And staring
and
into
weighed down.
space. Right.
Yes.
Not that America was ever the good guy. No, none of the countries were the good guy though. Like I'm going to tell you bluntly that no government is the good government. There's no such thing, right?
I
Not
agree.
while humans are involved. The clock rollback that is being aimed for is not to the 1950s. It is to the 1850s. And the thing about the 1850s is that people tend to think of like the slavery and this is a like antebellum skirt sort of beautiful time, right? Yeah, the reason Gone with the Wind is Gone with the Wind for all its flaws is because the 1850s set the stage for the Civil War. And we keep cherry picking moments in our current political landscape from the years right before a major war. I would like us not to do that because one of
Mm.
the nothing is unprecedented about the choices being made. There is a precedent, right? We have the tariff conversation. We've done that twice before. It was bad both times. All of these things are precedented. It's just that what they precedent is war. And America has a unique situation that has never existed before in human history. There are approximately 200 million more guns in America than there are people. No one should want America's collapse to involve a civil war. I know people may think that America collapsing would end well, but you don't want anyone with their finger on the proverbial nuclear football
Hmm.
who thinks guns are fun. You don't. You don't want anyone who is a big fan of genocide with these
Well,
tools.
but then I'm like, well, the majority of Americans did want that. So this is what we have.
I actually don't think it was the majority of Americans. I think, unfortunately, most Americans that could vote did not vote. I
Ah, I see.
I looked at the numbers and around 70-ish million Americans just didn't go to the polls. And that is a scary thought, right? Because we could see the end of not just America, which is the sort of the conversation. It could be the end of the world as we know it, right? Like the planet will be fine. Whether or not we
Mhm.
survive these moments is a different conversation. And the we is not just America. It is Canada, it is China, it is Russia, it is Australia, right? Like there's a idea that like, oh, I will move out of the US and everything will be fine. This is the largest military force in the world in the hands of people who don't think other people are human. That's what this
Well,
thing.
in my therapy practice, sometimes we just have to go there, just like paint the picture. What are we talking about here? When you say Civil War, I think of Union versus Confederacy. And the core issue was slavery, but it was also the economy. It was also economic power, And how does that play out today? Don't tell me it's about abortion. I'm so sick of talking about abortion. Like,
No,
what?
it is not about abortion. I wish
Okay.
it could be as simple as reproductive rights. It is about reproduction. Now I'm going to tell you my like almost crazy conspiracy theory, except it's not a crazy conspiracy theory.
Yeah, this is a hot take. This is a preview, BA fam, of this book.
Yeah.
Do you have a title for it yet?
It is Autopsy of the American Dream. That's the current working
Okay.
title.
Well,
Um,
just in and of itself, it's like, well, it's dead. But we knew that already. Okay, go ahead.
right.
Yeah, we knew that already.
Part of my what I'm positing is that if the American dream ever existed, Jim Crow strangled it in its crib. Jim Crow
Hmm.
is where America makes a series of decisions that doom the American dream. We are staring down the barrel of a population crisis that we don't think is a population crisis yet, right? We keep seeing reports that like the South Korean birth rate is declining, that Japan's birth rate is declining. Birth rates are declining all over the planet.
Hmm.
Nobody is having replacement level kids for the most part. And I know people will say, well, third world countries, and they actually also are not really having replacement level offspring. And the reason they're not is because things cost too much. It is very difficult right now to support a big family and actually
Girl.
send those kids to education or anything else, right?
A third child is the new Birkin bag for me. Like,
Yes.
you
Mhm.
think I'm rich, like a third child rich? No, I got two, and I'm hanging on by a thread.
And this is the thing. Two kids is still technically a lot. A lot more people are having one. Well, one is below replacement
Well, you
level.
got to space them out so they're not both in daycare at the same time because that's
Right.
when you screw yourself.
Right.
That's when
And
you
so
have
you
two mortgage payments plus whatever housing costs you have.
mhm.
Yeah.
And so you have people who are deciding either not to have children, which is fine. I'm not saying have kids if you don't want kids, but if
Yeah.
we don't have children and we don't have the capability to take care of the children we do have, as we age, we are going to run into a situation that is already happening in other countries. Immigration has been saving America from realizing this, right? Well, now we're starting to deport all of these people, and really we're human trafficking them because shipping them to El Salvador is not the same as deportation, just so we're clear. But as we're doing this, it's not just, oh, who's going to mow the lawn or whatever other racist thing you say about immigrants from the global south. It is who will be the doctors, who will be the nurses, who will be the teachers, who will be the caregivers for the babies, and the who will pick the food is only one in a list of things that is possible currently because America was a desirable place to move to. Now, what will we do if we close our doors, quote unquote, protect our borders, and there's nobody inside here to do those jobs, right? Because the idea that people will start doing those jobs, immigrants are not stealing the job you were never interested in nor qualified for. They just aren't. Nebraska's looking at declaring bankruptcy and not having people to get crops out of the fields. And we've learned this lesson, except we haven't learned this lesson. But when you pack a bunch of people into an enclosed space and you deprive them of rights, food, etc., they tend to react by fighting back. In other situations, they took the guns, or the guns could only fire 6 bullets. The guns now are what you would have in the hands of an army. We're all able to access the pocket equivalent of a Gatling gun these days. 100-round bursts, yeah, you can get that. And it's technically street legal. It's not really street legal, but we're a country that will let you buy a retired tank. I don't want to be here for this war.
What's the picture you're painting? Is it Civil War and we're just like, we're fighting over what? We're killing each other for what? We're
going to be killing each other over basics. We're going to be killing each other over
food, necessities, water.
Right, because this is the other part of this. Some of us live in states that have wonderful land for growing things. We have plenty of access to water, all of that, right? Others live in states that have none of those things and don't realize how much they depend on the states that they currently hate to provide them with those things. You are dependent on road systems that are paid for by federal dollars. You are dependent on medication developed in places with lots of universities, right? The anti-intellectual bias against vaccines and science and whatever. You need those people to make the things they make, and you need to produce food for them so that everybody continues to live. And we've lost that idea of collective culture in many ways, and not just in America. This is an ongoing global problem. And if we cannot imagine a future for everyone, we don't have a future for anyone. Do I think that this will be a logical, progress to a civil war where it's inevitable? No. I think there are many places we could avoid this and we could avert this future. But I think America, and not just America, the folks who are fans of fascism do not think of a future. Eugenics does not allow for any concept of a future. It says it does, but realistically, fascism and eugenics and all the other bigotries, and yes, capitalism, but it's not the only economic structure where fascism can happen. It all kind of goes hand in hand, right? Bigotry will be the catalyst in much the way slavery was the catalyst, but it was also about finances. This will be about finances and resources, but it will also be about hate. You can't win a war based on identity that really is as amoral, really, as this would become, right? I'm watching people rotate through who they hate, right? And trans people, for some reason, became center stage for a while, right? And then it was immigrants, and it's disabled people, and it's old people. And at some point in that list, everyone is on the table. Everyone is on the chopping. If you don't want anyone to have rights but you, how does that work out? Because I hate to break it to people, AI and computers cannot stop this, nor can it save us after it happens.
Yeah, well, they're definitely not out in the fields. ChatGPT is not picking crops. I mean, I think that makes sense to me. I mean, you're ending up in a world, in a country where we're desperate for limited resources, and the haves and the have-nots, and yeah, the states that are capable of denying access to their resources to other parts of the country, and how you can use that for leverage. And all of a sudden, it's not like U.S. versus China. It's like California versus Kansas, or whatever it may be, and oh, you want our resources? Well, we're going to charge you even more. And it's, yeah, okay. I can see it now. I wish you luck with that book. It sounds real depressing. But you did, depressing. I did hear, I'm always looking for little nuggets. So we're giving us a preview. our audience is 80% women of color. I mean, sorry, 80% Black women, 20% Hispanic women, Latinas. And I want to know from you, like, what are you telling your kids? What are you telling, like, BA fam as far as, like, what part we can play in potentially avoiding it or at least protecting ourselves, short
So,
of going to raise my own crops, which I kill
so
tomatoes every year. So that's my green thumb for you.
I have no green thumb at all. No, I was gonna say, so one of the things I'm telling people, aside from prepper things, right? Like you should always have some emergency food, blah, 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 is that community is the only way out, right? Every
Mm,
story of survival through hard times in anyone's history, but especially in American history, has really been about community. If you and your neighbor, you've got carrots, your neighbor's got potatoes, this neighbor's got rice, whatever, whatever. Somebody's got chickens. It's the stone soup analogy, right? If you're all putting things in the pot, at the end of the day, everyone eats. The
mm-hmm.
only way out of this is to stop thinking about my individual desire and start thinking about what benefits us collectively. And collectivism gets a lot of hits. There are good reasons to be like, well, I don't want to make my decisions based around everyone else's needs. But there's a baseline of food and medical care and education and all of this that should be achievable, especially as like climate change is coming, right? Climate change is here, really, but climate change is coming. We're all going to need each other. So don't listen to people who tell you you can buy your way out of climate change, right? All of the billionaire class is kind of saying, well, if you come with me, you'll make money. And then they buy their bunkers in the middle of nowhere and think they'll fill them with mercenaries and whoever their favorite people are. That's not actually a plan. That is a bad sci-fi novel. The actual plan is to prepare for a future in which things will require you to work together, in which, yes, you'll have to make do with less, but you'll be able to make do if your plan is let's make sure everyone has enough so no one is fighting over basic needs. We might be able to solve problems if we had less energy spent on fighting over things that honestly mostly don't matter. I don't really care who you're sleeping with as long as they're an adult and they're willing, right? That's none of my
Yeah.
business. I don't really care whether or not you like seeing people with different bodies than yours, and you should get some business, right? Everybody's meat suit is different. Mind your meat suit, and things would get better immediately.
Mm. You know, I've recorded a couple episodes this week, and the underlying thread of what I'm hearing is this emphasis on community.
Mhm.
What do you do? I live in a suburban neighborhood. I know my neighbors on my block. We do take care of each other. You know, someone's got extra oranges, you'll get a text to the mom group like, "Who needs oranges?" And we'll, do that kind of thing. That's taken a lot of time, effort. It's also a privilege to live in a space where, I'm able to talk to my neighbors and have that freedom and space. And there's also this like housing crisis happening at the same time. This like dearth of available housing, affordable housing. It just feels like a really difficult time to start building community. But what is it that's giving you hope? And like, what do you want us to know about how we can, in small ways, build community and how that could potentially like protect us down the line if things get worse or when things get worse?
So one of the things that is really great, and I'm watching it happen on the internet, and like the internet is a terrible place, but the internet is also a beautiful place. So I'm watching people figure out online how to do things, how to build community with each other, where there was a girl who posted on TikTok and her dad has died and something was wrong with her refrigerator. And so she's like, I don't know what to do. My dad is who I call for this stuff. What do I do now? And dads from all over were like, oh, here's how you fix that. How to let me help. Let me be your dad for a day, right?
Yeah.
Building community can be as simple as offering to help someone with the skills that you have. You do not have to build a perfect community on the first day. You do not have to look at, well, those people have like a great network for babysitting and this and that and the other. The village takes time to build. I think people should be looking at ways to build the village. One of those ways is I don't know if you've seen those initiatives to get more tiny house structures or converting motels into apartments. If we
Or
wanted
old
to
office
house,
buildings.
yes, if we wanted to
Yeah.
house everyone in America and end homelessness, we could do that in a matter of like a year and a half, a couple years, and it would start with converting office parks, converting old malls, converting all of those things. We can push for our local governments to become more welcoming to folks, to open more shelter beds, sure, but also more affordable housing initiatives. Because when you do that, when you say, let's convert this empty abandoned building that's still got a good shell, good framework into housing, you immediately reduce your risk of crime, you reduce scarcity, all of these things. If you're in an area where, you've got farmers, let's say as an example, and money is funny, you and your neighbors can go in to buy half a cow, quarter of a pig, all of these things and fill everybody's freezer. Well, what about getting everybody freezers? You could also start a charity to make sure not only that your neighbors are housed, but they have a safe way to store food, that they can get help with everything from utility bills to setting up solar panels to reduce their utility bills, as examples, right? You can start small in your community. Ask who is interested, ask what people want to do, and work on that first task, right? Then you move on to something else. And I'm not saying that this is a perfect solution, but perfect is the enemy of progress. Small steps lead to big change.
And the emphasis on local community. I mean, I'm thinking about my neighborhood and how we have this like unofficial homeowners association. And listen, I give the president of this, I don't know if her title is, it's made up. We don't pay any HOA fees. It's not like a real official organization.
A block club.
A black club.
Yeah.
Block club or black club? It's both.
Block.
Really.
Yeah, both. Really.
It's I live in a majority. Well, I don't know these days, but it's definitely being gentrified. But a majority black, like very much like a lot of black families moved here in the 1940s and 50s and built these little homes. And anyway, the people who run the homeowners association, it can feel very like not militaristic, but like almost like sorority-esque. You kind of have to know the right people, and it's very challenging. The different points of view, the different ways of communicating, like there's some friction. And so in a way, I've like created my little micro community on my block, but tried to stay clear of that bigger association. And I'm challenging my own like feelings there, because I'm like, even though it's hard, that conflict happens when you're in community with other people. It's necessary to a certain extent to push through that conflict to get to what could potentially be helpful for the greater community. I just wonder in my own way, like, am I being a little too individualistic, just like narrowing it down to my small block? And something that maybe I could work on is like reaching across more and trying to engage with that greater group, even if I don't love the way they talk all the time or what they focus on. Does that make sense?
One of the things could be as simple as, you don't have a green thumb, let's say. I don't know if you have the yard space for it, but like I have a friend that's doing this right now. She's got, I think, 3 or 4 chickens, and she cannot grow anything, but apparently she can get the chickens to lay eggs. So now on like their little couple 3-block radius, they've got like a little barter grocery store system set up, right? Where she trades eggs for produce. And I'm a little confused on the math and the metrics because it feels like she's getting a real good end of the deal, but also
eggs are eggs.
Right, eggs are eggs. And she's like, these chickens lay like a dozen eggs a day. I would never eat a dozen eggs a day. So people are just dropping, like, especially now that garden season's about to be upon us, people will just like drop a bag of tomatoes, drop some berries, whatever, and they'll take like 6 eggs away because she's like a little setup, a little framework where she puts the eggs like an honor system.
Okay.
And people come up, they get eggs, they leave produce. And if you don't have produce that day, she doesn't care because she's gonna have more eggs.
I mean, I don't want chickens. I got kids. I got a dog who is already neglected, but that's such a good example. I do have a neighbor who has a garden, and like her elder neighbor, this man, I forget his name. I haven't met him. Gives her coaches her on her gardening, and has helped her grow corn and eggplants and things that she was like intimidated to grow. And he's helped her. And that to me is, we collectively in our neighborhood, no one has like massive yards, but we have enough. Like if we just combined, like if we said, okay, this house will grow the tomatoes, this house will grow the onions, whatever, like collectively we could create this really great hyper local food source,
Yeah, you could be the person that helps with weeding or whatever, right?
Yeah. I'm really good at raising caterpillars. I love me some caterpillars.
Oh,
That's
then
my
you're
meditation.
the compost person. You can do the composting.
I love compost. I have I have a composter. My husband hates it. I'm just like, he's like, what is this on the countertop? I'm like, it's my compost and it's beautiful and I'm going to take it upstairs to the composter eventually. Just deal with it. Like,
yeah.
No.
So you're the person that would then make sure the gardens are fertilized with good compost every year. That is a job. That is community. That is contributing.
Well, that to me is hopeful. I mean, I keep imagining that, when Beyonce brought out Lemonade and she did that video with
Mhm.
all the black women, like they're in New
They were on
Orleans or
the
somewhere.
yeah, and they were on the
And they,
porch like doing each other's hair and all that.
I mean, I just feel like as black women, there is this ability to connect and support one
Mhm.
another that I feel like we could potentially be the best positioned to thrive in a situation where it's like very community focused. Am I being a little too
No,
Pollyanna about that? But
I
what do you think?
I think Black, Indigenous, and Latino women are like in position to like if we can communicate with each other.
Yeah.
Listen, I and it's a running joke, right? But like we have the cookout, they have the carne asada. We could make this work, right? Where we're gonna bring the side dishes and they're gonna bring the meat or whatever. Somebody's gonna have some music. We're gonna have a good time. I want us to make that like an ongoing thing, right? Where I'm bringing the best of what I have to you in your community, and your community is bringing the best of what you have to me in my community, and we're working together. And I feel like that's super accessible, right? Because one of the weird things about white supremacy and like conversations about segregation is that people tend to say, like about Chicago, they'll say Chicago is so segregated. Chicago's not really segregated. Parts of Chicago are segregated, and transplants tend to move to the parts of the city that are the most segregated, right? The rest of us in the parts they tell you are scary on the south and west side, we're around each other all the time. We are cooking for each other. We are working together. We are in community in ways that are not super visible. And I feel like that is a thing that could happen across a lot of ethnic lines. Even quite honestly, not all white people, but what I call spicy white, aka Eastern Europeans, they they
Spicy
they
white.
blend right in. Listen, because I think pierogies and elotes and barbecue chicken go together on the same plate, right? Like this is my friend group.
Delicious.
But I am sometimes surprised what I call the slightly better class of white people who have been victims of white supremacy, so they're not confused by what it really means when these words are said. Um, I get out of that bubble and I'm like, oh wait, you're still buying into this. You're still cozying up to this, right? And it's not like it's all, but the percentage that fall for it, I do sometimes kind of go, you've got to save you. We can't make you see this, but you've got to save you because sooner or later that turns on you. So I think we could do it. I think black and brown people could absolutely pull this off. I just think we're going to have to learn real hard on the fly a lot of things real quick if we don't start now.
I mean, is that not like that could be the ending of the book? Not to give you ideas. You're Mikki Kendall,
No,
but
actually, that might be it. That might be actually you're right. It could be the end of the book. Like,
it's
hey,
where there's got to be this utopia. There's got to be examples of communities that are already doing this. I'm thinking about the Black South. I'm thinking about where my
mhm,
dad grew up in Carrollton, Georgia. My great great grandfather was this apparently brilliant businessman who had a farm, and I'm just saying, like, there's got to be little pockets of like if you could put a lens on these communities and give examples of like, well, in this community and that community so and so did this, and give some examples. And I'm getting excited thinking about it. I'm sitting here right
yeah,
now being like, why the hell am I trying to grow every herb in my garden, every crop? I could just tell Latanya, you got tomatoes. Brianna, you get the rosemary, the herbs situation. I'm gonna have the caterpillars in the compost. Like,
yeah.
duh.
And you and if you can manage to get marigolds going, it'll help like the compost and the marigolds. And I think there's a couple other plants that will keep the pests away from their garden, so your stuff is safe.
Right.
Your
And you
cut is
can
safe.
plant certain things together, like little, like,
Hmm.
yeah, I watched The Smallest Farm or whatever that documentary was
Hmm.
about like all these old school methods that can, yeah, for farming and agriculture that we can all take advantage of.
Yeah.
Very smart. I think in this conversation, I feel 10 times better because I feel like I have something that I can do on my own that could help the people that I love and the community that I love. And if we could be this little utopia, you got to read Sky Full of Elephants and
I
tell me
will.
what you think about it.
I will.
And when I told you my background, right? I'm a biracial baddie. My mom is white from Wisconsin. My dad is black from the South. And when you read Sky Full of Elephants, just think about me. Because
I
I was
will.
hanging on for dear life while I read that book. You know the premise, right?
I actually don't. Someone
Oh,
said to
okay.
me, "Oh, you should read this book." And you're like the third person, so I'm like, "Okay, I should definitely actually read this book."
Oh, I would love you to read it. We're going to do it for Brown Ambition Book Club when I
Mhm.
start that. So it's the premise is that one day in America, modern day America, every white person in America goes and finds the nearest body of water and drowns themselves,
Oh, wow.
resulting in a new America where white people are no longer in existence. Now, there's not a lot of answers as to like, so how much white do you have to have and how much black is enough to survive? But
Hmm.
there's a biracial girl who has a white mother and a black father. She's from Wisconsin. Her white mother raised her there with her siblings, and she feels very much like she's meant to be white. Anyway, she survives. Her whole family is dead. And so she has to go reconnect with her black father for survival. I started to read it when I was visiting my mom in Wisconsin, and I was like, Mom, I'm reading this new book. And as I started, because we always talk about books, and as I started telling her, I was like, it's about all the white people dying? And she was, it was so uncomfortable. I was like, but I didn't write it. But like, she's like, but you're reading it. I'm like, I know, but it's like an allegory thing. It's like, just never mind, Mom. Never mind. Let's go watch The Pit. Let's watch TV. It's fine. We don't have to talk about it. But it's very uncomfortable. It brought up a lot of stuff. So I'm just saying while you work on your stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to wrap up a little bit with some like rapid fire questions. So we are Brown Ambition. Sure. You are a full-time author. I know that you're also thinking about going back to school. Like, what's the career path right now for you?
I am thinking about getting my PhD. It's been like a waffly kind of thing. When my kids were younger, I did a master's degree while raising two kids and working full time. Don't recommend. And I thought about getting a PhD, but then I thought about the stress level of it at the time and thought, no one deserves that version of me. I don't deserve that version of me. Now I am thinking that I do want it, right? This is not a need, this is a want, but also it's a perfect excuse for my midlife crisis. Because like every other Black girl, when we have free time on our hand, we decide to go get a degree. I am one of those. But it seems like a good time. It seems like a good time to be like, you know what? I'm going to move out of the US for a while and get this degree that I was going to get anyway and watch this from over here and maybe come back and forth. But also, maybe by the time I'm 60, I'll be Dr. Kendall, just to be Dr. Kendall. I don't know
Just
why I
to
would do
be.
this, but yeah.
I mean, I wish it didn't come with so much debt, but education should never be something that we mock people for wanting. But
Oh no, I'm looking for fully funded programs only. I'm sorry, let me clarify. I'm not
oh,
paying for
okay.
this.
Okay, sweet. Wish you should be
Yeah.
able to get Mikki Kendall, New York Times bestseller, especially with this book. Okay, so let's
Yes.
talk about really quickly. Do you have a go-to productivity hack that helps you?
Yes. Yes. My go-to productivity hack is to stop trying to do the thing that I am avoiding and go take a walk. And then by the time I come back from the walk, I'm ready to do the thing I was avoiding.
Okay. If you could have any job in the world, what would it be?
I would, at this point, I would actually rule the world. But usually I say that I would love to be one of those panda handlers.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't
yeah.
know I don't know if those people have any job stress, but the pandas look like they're so fun to watch. I feel like I'd be okay with it.
And so squishy.
They look so fluffy.
Kids are kind of like baby pandas, but they grow too fast. It's very annoying.
Yes,
It's a very
yes,
limited window.
and they start talking. The pandas just kind of chill and like fake people sit in chairs. It's great.
So cute. All right. No, we're not going to go down that ADHD path of panda
Yeah.
core. All right. What is the last thing that you read that you were like, ugh, I need to talk to someone about this?
Ironically, it is a manga, Solo Leveling, which is also an anime now. And I
Okay.
have been talking about it endlessly because the basic premise is that someone, our lovely hero, has no strength at the beginning. He goes through a lot, he really dies, and then he comes back and spends all this time building up so he can save other people in a way that he wasn't saved. And like, yes,
Mm.
it is an anime with lots of fighting and monsters and whatever, but the core hero's journey part of it fascinates me because it is
Oof.
not a typical hero's journey. He starts off in a group, and then because he wants to protect the group and more broadly everyone else, he
Mm.
seeks to take all of the weight on himself on purpose. And I am fascinated by the way this is structured.
Well, given that you just said you wanted to rule the world, I think I can see why that's an interesting. I'm also
Yeah.
like Harry Potter. It's kind of like sounds like anime Harry Potter, but maybe a little bit different. Okay. If you could, living or dead, have dinner with anyone, who would it be?
I'm going to go with the dead only because this person ceased to be before I was ever born. Zora Neale Hurston.
Oh,
I would,
can I
I feel
come?
like we'd have, sure. I feel like we'd have such an interesting conversation. Zora Neale Hurston would probably be like, please get this person off of me after a while, because I would also have to like do like a circular fangirl moment that would be ridiculous to see.
Mm.
Um, if I were going to go with living, it would be LeVar Burton, except I would just scream the entire time.
LeVar
I'm not going to do
Burton,
that. Yes, I would
Reading
just scream the
Rainbow.
entire time. Yes.
I love
I would
that.
just yell the whole time.
What?
And he'd be like,
Might be a lot for him. I just feel like he's just like, but no, I mean,
I
fair
am
enough.
certain that man is very chill. He is a fundamental core part of my identity,
Oh,
and
I love that.
therefore I never need to meet him in person because I would just make stupid noises. But also, I would love to talk to him.
It's going to happen.
Oh
Also,
God.
if I ever get
Oh
him on the
God.
show, I'll have you back on. I'll be like, it'll be the Mickey and LeVar Burton episode. It'll be fine. I like to abuse my position of my having a platform to just get people that I love and want to talk to just on the show. It's great. Trapped you. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. If there's something, I know you said you have adult children. There's got to be one piece of advice that you keep banging a drum over with them. What would that be? Can you tell us, BA fam?
It is this. It is your life to lead. You should be making the choices that will let you be able to look at yourself in the mirror every day.
Okay. Well, that's a very good one. That's helpful. Okay. All right. And then lastly, what's the last thing that you splurged on?
My last splurge of sorts was actually dinner at a place in Chicago called Virtue. They have this this cornbread. Me and this cornbread have a ridiculous relationship. This honey
Ooh, is it
border
sweet?
cornbread.
Is it is sweet?
Yes,
Does it
yes.
have little
This is
corn
so
kernels in it for some bite?
I feel like it probably does, but I don't think they're like big corn kernels. I think it's like the smashed
Oh,
corn kernel kind of vibe. And then it's got like a honey butter topping. And I know it's supposed to be like a side dish. I could eat just the thing of cornbread and whatever about the food. The food's great there. The food is
yeah.
delicious. The cocktails are delicious. Me and that cornbread, we went through a phase together. That was my like the most recent. hmm
It's
hmm
gotta like take
And
a nap
needed some
after.
corn. Right, like I was like, I need this cornbread, just this cornbread and a drink. Thank you.
Oh, that's such a home. That, for me, cornbread is like home. Mikki Kendall, thank you so much for coming on Brown Ambition and sharing all of your insights and your wisdom. I think there were parts of this conversation that I'm going to be thinking about for days, weeks, probably months after. And I think that's just why you are so brilliant. And I'm so glad that you're in the world writing. We need your work, especially at a time like this. And you know what? I'm going to be selfish. One piece of advice for a first time author, because I have a book coming out
Um,
2026.
my big piece of advice for a first time author is to reach out to literally everyone in your network right now. Start now. And also,
Okay.
don't be afraid to ask for blurbs from everyone. One of the
Okay.
things that happened with Hood Feminism, Gabrielle Union blurbed my book because I sent Gabrielle Union a DM asking Gabrielle Union to blurb my book.
She's amazing. I just feel
She's
like
the best. She's the
that's
best.
great.
Yes.
Okay, so blurbs still matter.
I feel like blurbs still matter. That
Okay.
really that had a lot of people paying attention to the book that might not have otherwise.
Mm. And
Mhm.
also just time it perfectly, right? Just get that here.
If you
I'm
can,
assuming,
if you can, yeah.
could I
If
have
you
the
if you
crystal ball?
know,
Just can I just see your crystal ball for a minute just so I can like time it? Okay. Well, thank you so
yeah.
much. And where can people find you? Where do you want to point folks to?
I yeah. Right now I've been hanging on Blue Sky a lot. It's still Carnithia. I have not really been
Okay.
on Twitter, and I'm on TikTok occasionally. But
Okay.
really, actually, just find me on Blue Sky because that's where I'm doing my most shenanigans right now.
That's why I don't hear from you because I'm not on Blue Sky. I got to get on Blue Sky. I'm on Threads.
Everybody should be on Blue Sky at this point. You know what? I have a Threads account and I forget about Threads. I'm bad.
See, that's the thing. I think I've like imprinted on Threads. It's my new Twitter. But at Blue Sky, I know I'm late to the game. I got to get on Blue Sky. But we'll
Yes,
put your
yes,
info in the show notes. Also, your website. Get on her newsletter if you have a newsletter so you know when the new
yes.
book
I
comes out.
do have a newsletter, and honestly, if you want to find me, just put Carnithia Karnythia into your browser. You'll find me somewhere. I'm always out here on the internet streets doing things I have no business doing, but enjoying them anyway.
I love it. All right, Mikki, thank you
All right.
so much for coming on Brown Ambition. BA fam, don't forget to like and subscribe to the show, leave us a review, and just go buy whatever Mikki's selling. Whatever she comes out with, let me know. And if you're building community in your own ways, I want to hear from y'all. Hit me up, brownambitionpodcast@gmail.com, or you can slide into my DMs on IG. We are at Brown Ambition Podcast, and I can't wait to hear and see some stories of building community. And I'm going to talk to my neighbors about this like community garden that I have in my head now. Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks, Mikki.
thank you.